Another game right in the division, back-to-back. This is the way you want to do it. The Steelers took care of business against the Bengals, and now it's the Baltimore Ravens.
Pittsburgh against Baltimore. You don't have to say much more.
AFC North rivalry.
It's got to be intense from the start, and it's got to continue.
Smash my football, baby.
It's the Ravens and the Steelers. It's a huge divisional matchup in Week 5.
The Steelers fans have to create a hostile environment here.
Rosen, and that's James Conner into the end zone.
Tonight on the Mike Tomlin Show, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens visit Heinz Field tomorrow. Coach gives us a scouting report. I catch up with rookie wide receiver Deontay Johnson after another solid performance, and we have Juju on that mic. Number 19's Wired for Sound. All of that and so much more as the Mike Tomlin Show starts right now.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. Last weekend, the Steelers organization inducted 4 new members into its esteemed Hall of Honor. L.B. Nichols' family, Larry Brown, Coach Bill Cowher, and Hines Ward were all celebrated at halftime of Monday night's game. Not only was the red carpet out for the guest of honor, but they were also presented with an outstanding performance by the Steelers on the field. The Bengals' offensive line was no match for the Steelers' defensive front, who amassed 8 sacks on the night. Mason Rudolph, along with the duo threat of James Conner and Jalen Samuels, finally gave the offense the spark it needed to put 27 points on the board. Let's send it over now to Bob Pompiani, who's with Coach Tomlin, to put a bow on the first win of the season.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. And boy, what a night it was at Heinz Field. It was a beautiful night. The scoreboard was lighting up with a lot of points. Head coach Mike Tomlin is here. And you said last week, we're all part of the problem. And you said it's going to take everyone to be involved in the solution. And last Monday night, it seemed like everybody was involved in the solution.
You know, we got some necessary plays, and we supported one another through good and bad, not just always good on top of good. You know, that turnover on the second play of the game was significant, and we had been in those circumstances even in the second half of San Francisco. We weren't able to come in and hold those guys to a field goal. I thought giving them the ball on the 15-yard line, obviously a negative experience, but our ability to hold those guys to a field goal really kind of set the stage for the defensive performance, and then they provided waves that the offense took advantage of. And so that's what it's about. It's about the units complementing one another and playing good team ball.
Let's talk about the evolution of that game plan. And we saw something that I don't think we've seen in a long time. I'm talking NFL history. 16 targets, 16 receptions by 2 different running backs.
Think about where is your depth. Our depth is at the tailback position. We got quality players there. Went into the game with the game plan of utilizing all 3, including Benny Snell and primarily, obviously, James and Jalen. And we were trying to get the ball in their hands in many ways as we can. And so, you know, thus was kind of the framework of the game plan, but really it's the old adage, if you got red paint, you better paint your barn red. We had backs available to us and we needed to utilize them.
So this Wildcat, which we haven't seen really quite to this degree in a long time, is it sustainable, or is it just something that you can show another team and say, hey,
it's something that we use time every now and then to level the playing field, and usually it involves, you know, lack of weapons in other areas. You think back to the last significant time we ran it, we were in San Diego on Monday Night Football with our 3rd or 4th quarterback. I think Michael Vick was a quarterback in that game, and you know, you're looking for ways to move the ball when you're minus some significant pieces, and Wildcat kind of levels the playing field, particularly if the opponent that you're playing for is less than prepared to deal with it that weekend. I think, you know, it's not a place that you can hang your hat long term. I think the National Football League has proven that for the concept.
Defensively, that was as good a performance you're going to see. I think 175 total yards allowed. That was the fewest since 2011. Seems like people were flying to the football, and you got production from everyone. Cam Hayward left the game, came back. You got both linebackers from the outside involved. How good was that performance?
It was really rock solid, and the thing that you really like about it is when we got them behind circumstances, when they were behind in the game or behind the chains in terms of down and distance, our rush controlled the game. And in the home environment, if you got an elite rush, it's reasonable to expect those guys to do that. So it was a fun night, man. That rush coupled with the Heinz Field crowd and the circumstance really produced the outcome that we all enjoyed.
And it was 27-3. Steelers getting the win column, a big AFC division win. So all of a sudden, you got Baltimore coming up next, and another one of those games on a short week. We'll get Mike Tomlin's take on the challenge they present. It's all coming up when we continue here with head coach Mike Tomlin. Missy, back to you.
Thanks, Bob. Yes, what a difference a week makes. A win tomorrow against the Ravens, coupled with a Browns loss to the 49ers on Monday night, means that by Tuesday morning, yes, the Steelers could be in first place of the AFC North. Could be a perfect ending to Ravens week. And speaking of Ravens week, I asked rookie wide receiver Diontae Johnson what he knows about this storied rivalry.
I heard it's that the Ravens hate the Steelers or whatever. I guess we hate them too, but I'm just trying to go out there and do whatever I can to help the team win.
Last week was the third annual Hall of Honor induction ceremony at Heinz Field to welcome Larry Brown, Bill Cowher, L.B. Nickel, and Hines Ward to this prestigious group.
This is a tremendous honor. I mean, to go down as one of the greats to ever wear the black and gold, to be up here with amongst these other outstanding football players, and just a dream come true.
Come on, man. See? He's not spitting on me now.
Listen, I'm a Pittsburgher through and through, and it just takes on such a special meaning just to know that you were able to contribute to something that's so legendary. And
I will leave you with this: you can take the people out of Pittsburgh, but you'll never take the Pittsburgh out of people.
And that means a lot to me. I'm extremely honored, humbled, blessed, but it feels good to be noticed as one of the greatest to ever wear the black and gold. Thank you, guys.
Number 81, L.B. Nickel. Please welcome his son, Joseph Nickel. Larry Brown. Bill Cowher. Hines Ward. Steelers Hall of Honor inductees.
The Steelers' wide receiving core has done a lot of jockeying for position over the first 4 weeks of this season, with the number 2 spot up for grabs after Dante Moncrief became a healthy scratch in Week 3. Rookie Diontae Johnson has put together 2 very solid performances to bolster his resume. However, last week didn't start out all roses for Johnson when his first quarter fumble led to the Bengals putting some points on the board. Luckily for Johnson, if there's anything Coach Tomlin likes more than winning, it's overcoming adversity. Johnson was able to put the turnover in his rear view and finish the game with 6 catches for 77 yards and 1 touchdown. That's the type of game that's worth sitting down and talking about, which is exactly what I did with number 18. All right, Diontae, you have made it through the first quarter of your first NFL season. How has it been going so far, maybe other than the record that everyone's not very happy with?
It's been going pretty good, actually. I mean, just taking it each day at a time, just making sure I go out there, knowing what I got to do, helping the team out as far as like my position and whatnot. Although we started off slow, but we got the win last week, so I'm just happy, to be honest.
What has it been like trying to earn the trust of Ben Roethlisberger and now having to form a relationship and earning the trust of Mason Rudolph?
To me, it was kind of tough because I didn't really know how to approach Ben at first. But as the days went on and he seen like my work ethic and coming along and like learning the offense, he started talking to me more, telling me more stuff about my routes. And then now with Mason, me and Mason kind of got a connection because we've been going with each other during the spring, so we kind of got that connection down.
Take me through your touchdown on Monday night. Why did that work?
Juju kind of took 2 defenders with him. The safety ran with him, I was able to come out the back end and get in the end zone from there.
Going back earlier in the game, what happened on the fumble? Did you go back and watch that?
Yeah, kind of didn't cover the ball. We kind of went down with one hand, and the defender was able to get his hand in there and knock the ball out.
Did anybody say anything to you after that to maybe lift your spirits or tell you to keep going?
Juju, James, Connor, Mason told me to keep my head up, let that play go, try to move forward, because if I would have kept thinking about that play, I would have went downhill from there, and I couldn't let that happen.
How much does it help you that you were able to redeem yourself in the same game? You didn't have to wait to this following week to do it.
It helped me out a lot. It gave me more confidence to keep going. I mean, like it's football, stuff like that is going to happen. It's just how you respond from those moments.
Ben Roethlisberger was at the game on the sidelines. Did he help you at all in game, or is there anything you noticed in terms of him helping the offense?
Yeah, he was out there helping out a lot with Mason, and he helped me out on that play. Actually, a couple plays. Just telling me to make sure I'm staying on my route, make sure I know what I'm doing.
How helpful is that for a young offense trying to overcome losing a franchise quarterback?
It's very helpful because it's someone out there with extra eyes on the offense as well and the defense, so that gives us kind of extra leeway to call different plays or whatnot to get us in the right position.
Up next, get ready for a healthy dose of Lamar Jackson. The dynamic quarterback brings his act to Heinz Field. Bob and Coach preview our first matchup this season with the Ravens. Don't go anywhere.
Llamó la atención cómo logró quedarse en el equipo y ahora teniendo incluso hasta un rol importante. Aguanta Rudolph, suelta el brazo, tiene el receptor, el pase completo. ¡Touchdown! Anotación de Pittsburgh. Deontay Johnson, el novato, aparece en las diagonales. Pittsburgh ganando 23-3.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber. Are you 84 material? Visit 84lumber.com/careers to learn more.
Steelers, Ravens. It almost feels like that's all you really need to say, but there's plenty of faces on both teams that have actually never experienced this rivalry firsthand. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson backed up Joe Flacco for both games last year, and he's eager to jump in to try to make his mark. Ravens head coach John Harbaugh is so in tune with this heated rivalry that he uses it as a benchmark for his players. He was quoted this week saying, "You're not a Raven until you beat the Steelers." Well, I can assure you that Coach Mike Tomlin plans to keep Jackson from becoming a Raven. Bob?
All right, Missy, another game right in the division, back-to-back. And if you're going to get back into it, this is the way you want to do it. The Steelers took care of business against the Bengals, and now it's the Baltimore Ravens. This is a different kind of Baltimore Ravens team. Some of the faces I think people have come to expect aren't there. Let's start with Lamar Jackson, a quarterback, because it's year two. We've seen some different things and good things from him. Talk about his, elevation from year one to year two, and what do you see differently?
He's making the natural growth progression that you expect a guy to do in his second year, having been a lap around the track. It seems that he's administering the offense more fluidly, making smoother and quicker decisions, and including more people, moving on to a second and third reads more fluidly than he did a year ago. We saw him in some snaps the second time we played him last year at quarterback, but really I think that was maybe Joe Flacco's last start in Baltimore. So we didn't get a full sampling of it. It's really unique to look at the way that their offensive attack has evolved and the way they're utilizing the pieces that they have in place to keep you off balance. He's a tremendous perimeter threat. His speed makes it very challenging for you in terms of containing him and setting good edges. But at the same time, they support him with a quality downhill runner like Mark Ingram, who's north and south. So you see therein lies the conflict. They have a downhill runner in Mark Ingram. He's backed up by another downhill runner in Gus Edwards. And they have a quarterback that's quick, that's capable of quickly getting the ball on the perimeter. So, boy, you got to do some really good things schematically in terms of minimizing the downhill run while at the same time not getting out leveraged.
They used him by design in that run game. It seems like more than most NFL quarterbacks would like to be exposed to. But how difficult is it to keep him? Do you want to keep him in that pocket? He's been pretty good down the field as well, as we saw in the first two games.
You know, you want to mix up the things you do against him. You're not going to do the same things and be consistently effective. He's just too talented, and their scheme is just too well developed in year two for that. You got to pick your poison at the appropriate moments. You got to minimize his perimeter talents. At the same time, you got to respect his ability to throw the ball and throw the ball vertically in the ways as he's displayed through the first month or so of the season. It's going to be a big challenge for us, one that we better get used to because we need to get used to seeing that guy and seeing that guy in the center for the Baltimore Ravens.
Defensively, there is no Terrell Suggs, no C.J. Mosley, but they brought in Earl Thomas. It's a different kind of defense that I think Pittsburgh-Baltimore relationship seemed to see. Those guys have moved on. What's the biggest thing to attack them?
You know, I still think they play Baltimore Ravens defense. Their defensive coordinator, Wink, has been there a number of years, and he understands the legacy that precedes him, and you see it displayed in how they play. They're a rough and tumble outfit. They play a bunch of multiple fronts. They're multiple in the passing game with dime personnel packages and a variety of pressure games. They do a good job. They play Baltimore Ravens defense. I think the significant thing is forget the guys that are no longer in town, the guys like Suggs and Weddle and C.J. Mosley. I think more than anything what you've seen is them adapting to some guys that are still on their team that hadn't been available of late. Guys like Jimmy Smith, top flight, lockdown coverage corner, young, a really talented interior corner that's one of the top nickels in the game. When you lose two of those guys at the cornerback position, you got to do some reconfiguring, and they've done an awesome job of that.
Should be wonderful to watch. You can see it on KDK TV. When we come back, a final word from head coach Mike Tomlin. Missy?
Thanks, Bob. It was a short week for the team to prepare for Baltimore, but Pittsburgh has actually won 5 of its last 6 games on a short week after Monday Night Football, so let's just keep that in mind. Up next, Juju Smith-Schuster was wired for sound last week against the Bengals.
I'm out here talking crazy. Nah, I'm saying I'm good, man.
Earlier in the show, you saw Hines Ward being inducted into the Steelers Hall of Honor, wearing that signature smile after every hit, catch, and touchdown. No one has ever had more fun playing the game of football than Hines. Well, maybe not until now. Juju Smith-Schuster has an infectious, fun-loving personality on and off the field that has won over the city of Pittsburgh. If you need proof on how much fun he has on the field, check this out.
I'm out here talking crazy. Nah, I'm saying I'm good, man. Enjoying myself. Do this. Whoa. Yeah. What's good, bro? You ready? You suited and booted? Come on, you need a helmet? Let's go.
There's Juju in motion for Rudolph, who will have his first pass attempt of the night, and it's a short completion to Johnson. Ball came out, and the Bengals are saying they have it.
That's not the way you start the game.
When you dive, just make sure you cover like this, because like every time you dive forward, they're looking to punch out like this way. You know what I mean? So you're good. Just 2 hands on the ball. You're good. Hey, got a long game. What's up, bro? What's up, boss?
How you doing?
Good, you're good. Get yourself a beer after.
Now set up the screen here to James Conner. As Conner, good job of keeping his balance and surging ahead to move the chains with 11 more yards.
They didn't give him the ball. He's hot right now. He's hot right now. You gotta give him the ball.
3rd and 2. Rudolph, how about it? James Conner. Touchdown Steelers. Downfield strike, wide open, Johnson.
His man came with me too. Everybody stopped. I saw you go over top. I go right under you. Safety bit. Your dude fell off.
And number 27, Dre Kirkpatrick, gets lost in coverage.
You doing what you doing, bro? I had a long year.
It's over. The Steelers emerge with a victory. Final score, Pittsburgh 27, Cincinnati 3.
You got to tip your hat to the entire team.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Mike Tomlin Show presented by 84 Lumber. As always, before we say goodnight, let's get some final thoughts from the head coach.
All right, Missy, it's been said the coaching fraternity is something that really lasts forever, and it does cross over sports. And, Coach, I know you had a tight relationship with Clint Hurdle. After 9 years in Pittsburgh, that stretch is now ended. And I know you have very nice memories. And what did you learn from Clint over the years?
Man, I just love being in his presence and seeing how he balanced the responsibilities of the job, also with being human and developing intimate relationships with the men and being himself. Clint's really comfortable in his own skin, and it really showed through. And I think it really made him a really solid leader, and obviously a solid leader in the midst of tough circumstances. He was never a moving target. I think that's one of the things that I really appreciated about him. Steady Eddie every day. Man, what a service he did, not only the Pirate organization, but our community. Guy was a pillar of the community, man. And that was important to him. And you don't see that a lot, particularly in baseball. It's a really transient kind of lifestyle from time to time. But, man, Clint was really ingrained into this community, and I really appreciated that aspect of him, the buy-in and the support that he gave us. And I just wish him the best as he surveys the landscape and finds his next challenge.
Well, whatever it is, we do wish him the best. A quality guy and a man who brought that team back from 20 years of losing into 3 straight playoff seasons. So it's always good to think back about the great memories you may have. Coach, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, it's the Baltimore Ravens coming up tomorrow. You'll see it on KDKA. Our coverage begins at 11:30 a.m., and that's going to do it for our program tonight. For head coach Mike Tomlin and Missy Matthews, I'm Bob Pompiani. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week for another edition of the Mike Tomlin Show presented by 84 Lumber.